Hey folks, I don't see a clock yet, so I'll hold off. Maybe you're not hearing me right now. Doesn't seem like it's clocking just as of yet. How you doing, folks? Welcome to another Drink and Wink info review. This will be a relatively quick one. I hope we're recording. Now I see the clock, so maybe some of that was cut off. Anyway, again, hi. Welcome to another Drink and Wink info review. I know I've been coming at you here last couple nights, three back with some different videos. Just having a little fun here before things get a little more busy here. And it's just also very nice because the weather is changing right now. We had a very pleasant evening. Boy, it was a lot of fun just going away, had a nice dinner with some friends. And it felt like as we're coming back, like we're getting into fall, and also time for me to really sink my teeth into some Scotch again, and whiskey in general. It is a little hard to get, really whiskey heavy when the weather is in the 80s and 90s, especially at night. So it's nice to have this time to kind of get into that and start drinking something a little more autumnal. Thought I'd kind of, like I said, I'm going to be taking a little bit of, I don't want to say pause, I'm just going to be slowing down a little bit and focusing on it, and I'll get to a little bit more of that after I do this info review. But I was kind of reviewing some of the different whiskeys that I've, had in the past, and all these new ones that I've brought to you and all that. And along with that, Facebook has, removed most of the live videos that I have done over the last, I don't know how many years. And I mean, they gave me warning, but there was almost no manageable way to save all that content and then to repost it anywhere. I mean, I have some of the videos, I guess, somewhere in a tranche in my Google email, and I checked it, but it's too much to kind of manage. So I've been moving some of these things to my YouTube channel. But anyway, so most of these early reviews that I did when I was first getting started with this are kind of gone, or I have them, but I'm not going to talk about it again. So I'm revisiting a little bit a few that I've talked about before. This one is special to me. We're going to talk about, I brought it up before, Bunnahabhain 12. Bunnahabhain, yes, you don't see a V there. I don't know how. That's a big mouthful. Okay, Bunna. It looks like Bunnahabhain, but it's Bunnahabhain. Okay, Gaelic word. I guess it's kind of a something close to mouth of the river is that name. This distillery has been around for a long time. 1881, I think it was founded. And this is a unique distillery among the ones that are on the island, the western island of Islay. Okay, we talked about it just yesterday when I was bringing you Port Charlotte. Most of the whiskeys that come off of that island are what are called peated whiskeys, meaning, again, I explained it yesterday, but when they are malting barley, and that's what is 100% of anything that's in a single malt Scotch whiskey, they have to essentially stop the germination of the grain with a heat source. And I kind of explained this wrong. In many cases, it was just regular fire or an electric heat or any way that you could think of to stop that. So it's wet grain that is germinating. Just when it starts to sprout, they got to stop that. So the best way to do it is dry it out very quickly, and that's what they do it. That's what they do. Okay, when you do it with peat, you're just using peat fire. Peat is kind of well, you know what peat is, but it's cut into bricks and then burned, and that's how they stop it. That gives it a kind of seaweedy or barbecue or charred flavor. Okay. Most of the distilleries in Islay produce a peated version of whiskey. Okay, single malt Scotch whiskey, and it also ends up into blends too. What you might do is, if you're John Dewar's company, or more importantly, because I know that Kalila, which is another Islay distillery, a certain element of that is in the Johnny Walker blend. So you might get some unpeated from a certain company, get certain distiller, 2, 3 distillers, a grain, and then add a little bit of Kalila into this blend, and that's how you get this slight peated taste in there. Okay. However, Bunnahabhain, which is on the kind of the northernmost point of that island, does not, in their core range, peat their whiskey. Okay. They do a peated version. Toychik Aga here, okay, is a peated version. This is a little more of a premium bottling that does have a peat scent to it, but it is not a no age statement. This is a very interesting bottle that I bought a while back. Treated myself to it. Might not find it characterful enough for me to buy another bottle of it, but I did enjoy it. This is their standard bottom of the range bottling, Bunnahabhain 12. Let me tell you a little story about this. I've told you about this before, but hey, it's gone, so let me tell you it again. When I first got, I was just telling the story, when I first got into whiskey, I was playing a gig with my buddy Corey Biggerstaff, and we were on a break, and it turned out that they were going to let us have a drink if we'd like, and there was some Oban 14. I had no idea about Scotch whiskey other than maybe drinking some Johnny Walker at some point. My knowledge of whiskey was Woodford Reserve, maybe an Irish whiskey once in a while. That was about it. All right. I really wasn't even drinking that much, even beer or anything like that at that point. And I had that, and that started my whole whiskey whiskey journey. I came home, and it turned out that I think we owned. Maybe I don't know what we owned, but we did end up having a Dalwhinnie 15 limited edition or distiller's edition. I'm looking back here because I don't have the distiller's edition anymore. I have a regular Dalwhinnie 15 here, but I had that, and then I was hooked, and I started buying Scotch whiskey. I bought a couple other ones that were just kind of like, well, I was doing reading, and I was kind of oh, this is everyone needs to have a Glenmorangie 12 or original. At that time, it was 10 years old. I bought that. You kind of need to have a Macallan. I did end up buying that. I'm trying to think what else. I bought a Speyburn 10. That might have been the first one that I ever bought, which was not great, but later on it was nice to find that the Speyburn 15 to be so awesome. But that was it. The first one that I started reading around and kind of getting once I got kind of an idea of what I'd like to taste, I started reading, and I started looking in and reading reviews and all this kind of stuff, and I was like, okay, I want to buy a $60 bottle of whiskey for myself, and one that I know that myself and Michelle will like. What am I going to buy? And I was doing research, and I started hearing about Bunnahabhain 12 being kind of a very nice middle of the road, not in terms of flavor or quality, but middle of the road of, has a little bit of everything, or a little bit of everything in there, or a little bit of something for everyone is another way to say that, and probably the better way to say it. So I went and bought it, and I have fallen in love. We've given this as a gift a couple of times to some people. I think this might be our second, or this is our third bottle, I think, at least. Yeah, I know this is our third bottle because the first bottle we bought had a different label, and then I remember opening this one up recently, within maybe the last year. So yeah, Bunnahabhain 12. This is by far. I can still say it. Some others have gotten knocked off, but this bottle is just, I will just say it. You know what, I'm going to put it up on top of this one so you can see it. This is a top 5 whiskey for me, and this is a, in terms of just a core range, 12-year-old, this will be a perma-shelf if I can keep it around. All right? Let me tell you a little bit more about the distillery. The distillery is, like I said, on the northernmost point. This is a very a remote distillery, so much so that up until 1960, I think, they were only being, even on the island, it was more convenient to have their supplies shipped up around the corner or the eastern edge of that island, rather than, because they didn't have a road. And then I think in 1960 or 19 somewhere in the 60s they built a road there, and then it was both shipping and driving. And then I think in 1991 they stopped with the shipping. I think I have those dates wrong. Doesn't matter. It was just, that's how remote it was. At one point there was just no road there. I think I also read that on this little island of Scotland, it was the first area to get electricity on that island. That has to happen a couple weeks ago. No, I'm kidding. That happened, in the early 1900s, I think. And then finally, the thing that I want to tell you about this is everything they bottle is going to be natural colored and no chill filtering. And that really pops through in here. The other thing, as I said, is that it's not peated, but there have been notes that there is a slight peaty taste to it, or that there's just a hint of a phenol component. They say they don't peat the 12, and they peat this bottom one, but not in the 12. I've always had a hint of it. It might just be the fact of what the conditions are like up in there. And remember, what we mean is, it doesn't mean wind and seawater is blowing into the bottles or anything like that. No, geez, no. Quality control is much higher than that. After the distillate is made and is put into barrels, where storage is everything. Okay, it's location, location, location. And I usually hate the three same word convention in talking about stuff. But yeah, so if you are going to age something, in somewhere that is a very standard climates, 70 degrees all the time, and inland. I don't know. I don't know where you might think of that, but I don't know who gets that kind of weather. I don't know if you're going to be aging a lot of whiskey in North Dakota, or at least expect to get a lot of different vibes from that weather. No knock on North Dakota, but on the northern point of Isla, the conditions are obviously going to be very breezy, seawater, ocean. Just so maybe that aging casks are breathing things. They're not living, but they are breathing, and the liquid contracts and expands, and air is moving in there, because we know that, because there is some evaporation that happens. So with that, it means air must be coming in there. You got really salinic sea salt air coming through. It has to have the effect. As a matter of fact, we know that it has the effect. Temperatures are different. Also add difference. We know that even in the United States, big distilling companies put their certain products in different temperature rooms to change the aging. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Am I boring me? Accelerate the aging process. That's it. Anyway. Now, why do I like this so much? Well, first, on the nose, got a little bit of caramel scent. No, you know what? Strike that. No, bring it back. Caramel, hazelnut. Oh my God, dark chocolate. A little bit of a kind of a bubblegum note. Heather. Wafers, a little bit of vanilla. I mean, I just named 8 things. I never named that much in a nose on most whiskeys. A little bit of earthiness. Oh, it's just good. Sweet components, but it's all in balance. And then the oakiness from the aging. And from what I understand, this is a combination of ex-bourbon and sherry cask, and that's blended together. and you get that little note, but I think it's predominantly bourbon with maybe a lesser amount of sherry cask. If I'm wrong on that, folks at the mouth of the river can tell me I'm wrong. There you go. Look at that. 12 years, all natural. They're getting that from the cask. That also tells me something there that, that the darker nature, something is happening here. This is some great alchemy. It's very rare to find, well, I'm not going to say anything. Let's just say this. When we're talking about aged whiskey that is all natural color and not filtered, that is on the dark side, okay? Unless it's predominantly a sherry casked aged bottle. Okay, on the taste. More of those notes. There's a little bit of an evergreen, a little bit more of a fir. Not fir. What am I thinking of? Yeah, evergreen, Christmas tree. What is the word I'm looking for? A little bit of a spearmint, minty taste on the taste, and I got on the nose. As it goes to the finish, more of a little bit of a cigar note, oak note. This is the perfect. The cigar notes probably come from actually some sherry influence here. If I didn't have my contacts in, I'd be able to read that label and tell you what that is. I'll type it in the bottom. But this still remains one of my favorite Scotch whiskeys of all time. Matter of fact, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that you can go out and search for really expensive whiskeys in with crazy extravagant ages. But if you wanted to get started, and also note, if you wanted to get started and you wanted to get something that is very representative of what we're talking about, there would be three. There would be Springbank, okay? There'd be Ardbeg, and for me, most people would say that this is just as good, okay? Here's the good thing. Springbank is going to be almost impossible to find, okay? It's just so hard to find these days, okay? Look at that. I'm drinking this very sparingly. This is my last bottle, and I don't know when I'm going to be able to get another one because the price has gone up, and it's just hard to find because it's so good. Ardbeg 10, the price has gone up. It's more expensive than this bottle right here. Here's the tip, finally. Bunnahabhain is owned by CVH Spirits, CVH Spirits, which is a subsidiary. Part ownership is controlled by the Campari group. I did some price checking today. Bunnahabhain was typically $5 less than many other 12s, meaning it was about in the $55 price tag. With all the tariff stuff and all the supply chain stuff and all the other excuses for why we have to pay more, even though we're not supposed to be anymore because of reasons, treasons, because of treasons. We are seeing a slight price increase in Bunnahabhain, but it's only up to 60. Okay, now some of you are saying $60 for a bottle of whiskey. That's insane, but 60 years old for an chill filtered, natural colored bottle at 46.3%. 12-year-old, like I said, that they have not raised the price up as much as other companies. Okay, that's phenomenal. Right now, if you are in Illinois and you're like, I'm finally going to buy a Scotch whiskey that Scores is recommending, and you live in this Chicagoland area, you need to go to Binny's tomorrow morning. Right now, Bunnahabhain, as part of the Labor Day sale, is on sale. Again, I'm not trying to plug for Binny's, but they have it on sale right now. So while you buy it right now, it's $50. They've knocked $10 off that price. Like I said, if you're in this area and you're finally going to buy something, go get it. If you don't like it, like as I always say, I'll buy it off you. Finally, the reason I love this so much is that first scent has just a little bit more. Like I said, I think this is, I don't think it's a 50-50 down the middle. It's ex-bourbon, but then there's some sherry cask aging influence here. So what's most likely is they're doing, it's not finished, what most likely is they're doing is they're aging in ex-bourbon casks, and they're also aging some in ex-sherry cask, and then they're blending that. So don't let that word fool you. This happens all the time with single malt Scotch whiskey. Okay, it is all malted barley. It is all their distillate from that same distillate. They're just putting it into different storage. It's as simple as understanding this. You just put a wall. You did all the drywall, and you put a wall up, and you're going to paint most of the wall gray, and you're going to paint the trim white. That's the same. It's the same way as doing producing a whiskey and then aging it in two different types of barrels. The main thing about this is there's this, I don't want to say caramel, but there's this leathery, brown, nutty note on the front that I don't get with many single malt Scotch whiskeys. And it just continues on and on and on. I get a little bit of, like I said, bubblegum, minty, evergreen, spruce kind of notes. So it could be almost crispy. There's a little, it gets salty to a point, like a wafer cracker, or even a little bit of vanilla. I get a little bit of the tobacco or leather note in there. As it goes down, I'm getting a little more of a sherry note from a sherry cask, and not a new, fresh, juicy one, but one that's, it's been, like ripe fruit. I can keep tasting it for you, or you can just believe me. This is one of the most tasty single malt scotches that I will ever drink. Okay, and like some of the other ones here that we're talking about, you can search around and try. This one is the other one that I would say, and I'm not the only one saying it. You can search around and try to find all these specialty drams and try to find spring bake, older, or cask strength. Good luck affording it and buying it. But bottom of their range. This is you can't go any lower than this here. And spring break is the same way. The old spring break 10. You don't have to go any farther. These are the most phenomenal, indicative or exemplary single malt Scotch whiskeys you can find. All right, finally, I'm going to wrap up and pour myself just a little more because I just enjoy it so much. Like I said, this will always be. I will always buy it. Now that I know it's on sale, I might have to get up and get another bottle just to have one in the hopper, because who knows what will happen with prices. One last thing, I'm not shutting anything down or anything of that nature, but I am going to start to regroup a little bit. So I'm actually going to post this on. I'm going to post this up on YouTube right after I shoot it. And I've talked and mentioned some stuff about how I want to move more of my content to YouTube. I'm also going to change things around a little bit. There are plenty of people coming on here, and I'm really finding this more in the bourbon world, okay, that are giving you their opinion of the whiskey, and they're reviewing it. And I hear them a lot of times not have really any idea of anything about the process of making it or anything. I'm not ridiculing, I'm just saying there are a lot of people doing that. And there is this little aspect of they're telling me this is good, this is just their opinion, but they don't really, I don't find that it's all that interesting to me to see somebody else drink it. It's like watching somebody else play video games. Like, I get it, it's kind of fun, but can I play? So I'm, a born musician, performer, and Well, I wasn't born that way, but it happened pretty fast. And an educator of music. I like explaining the process. So I'm going to turn this a little bit more into a I've always called these info reviews. I'm going to do a little more info on some of them. So with that in mind, I'm also going to start maybe, semi-scripting a few. I'm still going to bring my, my fun off-the-cuff comments and occasional tongue-tiedness, and, I might even make up a word here or there you go. Yeah, it's just it's just something I want to change up a little bit. I just don't know that you need me drinking bourbons and telling you which ones I like. But I would rather tell you is why is Buffalo Trace different from Woodford Reserve, which is different from Whiskey Acres and DeKalb, which is different from this and that. I'll do the research. I enjoy doing that, and I'll let you know. So that's just a little bit of an idea. Last final thing. Once I get this posted up to YouTube, I'm going to then post a link right under in this link to that. If you haven't already, and I know I haven't gotten a lot of traction over there yet, if you could follow along and get to that Drinking a Wink Facebook or YouTube, that's why, because I said the wrong thing, that Drinking a Wink YouTube page, really would appreciate it if I can get some followers there, because it's going to be a little more fun over there. And that's it. I'm not going to stop doing just quick reviews or anything like that, or almost half an hour long reviews like I'm doing here. I just want to change it up a little bit and just kind of, do what I like and compete a little less. I'll give you my opinions, but I also want to tell you, give you, again, as I mentioned to somebody I mentioned in the video yesterday and here, I like the thing that fascinates me about whiskey is how little of variables there are in producing this product, that then the producers are able to get so many variables. And for me, single malt Scotch whiskey is the most interesting, because the three that I just showed you couldn't taste, they have such distinct profiles, and yet you're essentially using the same ingredients, and it's just a couple of different processes that are changing it up. That's what really fascinates me about whiskey. If it fascinates you as well, tag along, all right? Cool. That's great. Bunnahabhain. I've used this joke before. Gonna Bunnahabhain some more. I'll Bunnahabhain some more. You know what? Yeah, over to YouTube. When I go over to YouTube, I'll get this right.